it's like once, if you even try to live any other way, like that's not just straight up anger, it's like your day just seems to flow a lot better.
Right, definitely.
So it's definitely worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I need to work on those, so I'm going to practice my I feel statements a little bit more. And you made a really good point earlier when you were talking about feelings being valid. So all feelings are valid all the time. What's important is how we express our feelings. So there are appropriate ways to express our feelings. Like maybe I'm going to go for a run. That's an awesome way. I need to do that more often. And there are inappropriate ways. Maybe I'm going to scream at you. I'm directing. You can
Or
scream.
I'm going
Screaming
to
is
drink.
fine. I'm going to drink. I'm
Drink.
going to go party. I'm going to go do things to numb myself. So yeah, there are ways that are inappropriate to respond to feelings, but they're always valid. Okay. This one is one we've practiced for years, and I think we still need some more practice on it. So take turns speaking. So, as you probably noticed a couple of times, like we just get really excited with each other and we want to just like jump in, like, yes, yes. And like sometimes I think we're used to that, but for a lot of people, it's a huge, huge, huge.
And it could be
reason
cultural too.
Yeah, it's a huge reason to fight for a lot of people. For us, it doesn't matter if you interject in my sentence. Like, I'm like, you're paying attention. That's great. Awesome. High five. But for other people, it's like, oh, I'm already feeling like you're not taking my feelings seriously and you won't let me finish my sentence. Like, I feel like you just don't care about me. Like, that's horrible. We never want to make, the people that we love feel that way. So,
One thing that could be helpful with that is maybe setting a timer.
Oh, yeah.
And then taking turns.
Mm-hmm.
So until you get the flow, not only for the person listening, they'll know that, eventually they're going to get to be able to say what they're going to need to say, but also the person who's speaking will understand brevity and getting to the point quicker instead of just barraging, you know what I mean? Just
right.
blah, 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 because that's hard to listen to,
Right.
I mean, no one wants... When you become an adult, you expect the scoldings to stop.
Right.
So...
And you're just going to zone out if somebody's lecturing you. You made a good point, and I forgot what your point was that you just made. That was really good. Hold on. So, okay. So setting the timer, that's really good. So if you do set a timer, say like, I would start off
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes, because it is difficult. You want to interject, but like it's a really, really important practice to learn to listen to learn instead of listening to respond. So a lot of times, especially when people are first trying that experiment, the whole time they're just thinking, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna say as soon as I get my minute. So we have to actively listen. We have to like relax and calm down and make sure that, I'm actually paying attention to you. I'm not just reciting this tirade that I have in my head that I'm gonna shoot at you as soon as you stop talking. Ooh. Wow. Okay, it's getting hot. Okay, please be careful. Okay, the next one, stonewalling. My baby's an expert
I'm an
at
expert
stonewalling.
at this.
So I always say that like a lot of times people who are runners, they run away from the arguments, and people who are chasers, who want to deal with it right now, get together. We're just attracted to each other. I don't know why. So I'm very much like, we're going to deal with it right now, and I'm going to follow you around so we can deal with it right now. And it's so bad. I'm so sorry. It's so bad. Okay. So tell me about the stonewalling. Is this something you picked up? Like, what is this?
So for me, I've had to deal with rage issues for quite a while, like extreme rage, like flipping couches and stuff. And she was kind of there for like the tail end of that until she was like, bro, you need help.
You should see somebody about that.
But so automatically it was just like, it was easier to just kettle everything, hold everything in, And then when I couldn't express rage anymore, it was just kind of like, I just need to leave before I do that. Because it's like the thing that people don't talk about often enough, I think, when you have a rage fit, is the shame that follows that. Because no one wants to be known as that person who is just always just tearing things up, or, they've reached a certain point when they've been drinking that they're just wild and uncontrollable. We don't. Why do we even keep this person around? You know, there's a level of shame and embarrassment that comes with it. So it's just like, oh, I might as well just keep all my feelings inside and just like, you know. And then there's also like other issues, you know, like if you've ever like suffered from abuse or anything like that, it's just easier to just
shut
down and just stay by yourself. So
take it all. And that can also be like dissociation too, where you end up like, I'm just floating away, I'm checking out, I'll stare at you, but I'm not gonna be present. But I feel like we rarely have to deal with that. It's mostly just like the stonewalling. And as far as stonewalling, you always come back and we deal with the issue. And I think that's one of the other like rules later on. So one of
because I know that if I can't sort myself out before we have our conversation, it's just all gonna be bad. Like I'm gonna say some things I don't mean, or say some things intentionally to hurt you because that's still in there. You know.
You have to get out of that reactive state. Calm yourself down, and then you're ready to have an adult conversation that's respectful.
Just figure out why I'm like that, you know what I mean? Like, what really is this about? Because I know it just can't be whatever the incident was. Yeah, just trying to explore the deeper issue. Next one is no yelling. I think we're pretty good about that. We don't really yell, but okay, so no yelling is we're like turning this into like a session for us. So I feel like we're pretty good at yelling. It used to be a thing back in the day when we first got together. We were like kids, like we were kids. So we were trying to figure this out and didn't really have much of a role model situation going on. So yeah, we used to yell, but we don't do that very often anymore. We're pretty good about just taking a moment. Just loud voices.
My loud
big
adult
mouth.
voice.
We both have big
mouths.
Drop
an octave, like, we need to talk. But, yeah, so we're pretty good about not yelling. That's just, I think when you grow up in like a really, really, I don't want to say like an abusive household, but like kind of a chaotic environment, a lot of times we will see like parents, the loudest one wins. That's the person who wins the argument. But when you think about a healthy relationship, you have to remember that we're a team, right? So nobody's winning or losing. If you lose, I lose. If, we both want to come out winners. So we have to make sure we're getting out of that defensive mode. And if I start yelling at you, you're probably going to go on the defense. You're probably going to check out from what I say, and you're going to be, reactive and be upset. And vice versa. If you're yelling at me, I'm going to be like, bro, like, no, let me defend myself. That's
I don't know. Okay, so does it upset you when I ask, like what happened maybe a little bit earlier when you were a little anxious about shooting this video? When I asked you, hey, we good? Does that upset you when I asked you that?
No, not at all.
So, like, shoot, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
just checking in. Because I feel like if we don't check in with each other, we end up making assumptions.
Yeah.
And assumptions can lead to huge arguments. And it's just a part of being vulnerable too, right? Being able to say like, hey, you doing all right today? And being comfortable saying like, no, I'm really like, I need a moment. And eventually we'll do like a segment on emotional safety plans and like what that looks like, so that you know how to respond when your person or people are, struggling, and how to not be like an extra like added burden or stressor, and be supportive in a way that they understand and appreciate.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the last one. Okay, or no, second to last one. Okay, so take time to have a timeout if things are getting heated. So I think we kind of discussed that.
There's the whole thing where they say never go to bed angry. Sometimes when you, like, we are complex women with complex issues. There's sometimes that there is just too much bullshit that you just need a couple days for it to sort everything out, because it's like you got to figure out what the best plan of action is, and just letting someone know that you love them, and that yes, you have complex feelings, but that doesn't change the way that you feel. And then when the time is right, we'll have this conversation. And you could even set like a future date. Be like, by tomorrow night we can do that. We can actually like sit down and have a conversation
Yes.
about what's going on, you know.
Yes.
So that like that deadline, it'll kind of be like, well, this is where I'm at right now about this.
Right.
But sometimes like when things happen right away, it's maybe not the best time because
Right.
number one, you have to check in, and if you're too dysregulated to even
Right.
be able to think about what's really happening, and you're just thinking about like, oh, someone did something to me, or like,
Yeah.
oh, there was this wrong against me, you're already defensive,
Right.
and it's not a good time for it. So
Right.
taking that step back.
Yeah, that's a really important piece, like, working on your self-regulation skills and then being able to step away. So, this is not productive right now. Like, I love you so much and I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. Because, you can build such a wonderful relationship with someone. It might have taken years to get, like, that sort of progress, and you can destroy it in a matter of moments by saying something that you're going to regret and maybe wasn't even what you wanted to say, but it just flew out, verbal diarrhea, because you're just dysregulated. So, this conversation isn't productive right now. I really love you, but can we finish this conversation tomorrow, like after I've calmed down? And then just learning how to not take that personally. And that's something that I personally had to work on, because I'm the type of person, like, I'm going to be anxious if we don't deal with it right now. Like, I want to go to sleep cuddling. So, like, can we deal with it so we can cuddle? There was, like, this TikTok where the guy, like, was like, doesn't matter how angry we are, like, put your head on my chest. And that's how I feel like we have to cuddle to go to bed. So when she's like, I'm gonna sleep on the couch, I'm like, no, it's the worst punishment. So please don't do that. It breaks my heart. Okay, and then the last one. Okay. Attempt to come to a compromise or an understanding. Yeah, those are bomb. So, I mean, ultimately we're on the same team. Your partner's partners, like, you're on the same team. Everybody has to win. And part of being in a relationship is making compromises. You shouldn't have to make tons of compromises. That might mean you're in the wrong relationship, or you guys might need to seek some professional help. But just coming to an agreement, like, okay, so what you're feeling about this is absolutely valid. I get your perspective. I respect that. And do you think we can take into account how I'm feeling? And, like, is there a solution where we can both be happy? And having that honest discussion, and it might take a few discussions to come up with something to where you're both happy. You might have to try a few things. It might not work out the first time, but that's okay. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I think also just getting both sides of the same story
Oh, yeah.
is important, because it's like sometimes you've written something so many times in your head, and then it's like when someone else tells you their side, when she tells me her side of it, it's like, oh damn, if I had done that, or if I would have been pretty offended myself. Like,
Right, same.
yeah, like I totally get that, or like, yeah, I can totally see how you're might be feeling that type of way,
Right.
and it's like, yeah, because I've been mad for lesser things,
Right, same.
and so when it comes a compromise, no matter what, if it's a good compromise, everyone should feel like they won a little and lost a little.
Right.
Nobody should feel like I was the one who won or I was the one who lost. It's about slowly gaining over time, and eventually you have the whole world.
Right.
Not literally, obviously being like,
And
but yeah, but
But yeah, obviously you're going to forge a situation. If you're in a healthy relationship, no baby, I'll eat it later. But if you're in a healthy relationship, you're going to forge a situation where everyone is happy, everybody's comfortable. And as I said earlier, if that's difficult for you guys to do, then you might need to seek some professional help. Maybe see a counselor, see a life coach, see someone like that, someone who can give you guidance. Let's see, I think that's everything. So I think we're just gonna blend this stuff up, and fingers crossed it like sets, and we're gonna have a delicious treat.
We'll post that as a
Yeah.
picture. We'll send you guys off the final product. Pretty much what you do is just put everything in there,
Right.
spread it on a sheet, on a baking tray. Ideally one like, the rectangle ones
Right.
with a little parchment paper in there.
Yeah.
And then just let it chill. And
Yeah.
cut it up and it's good to go.
at least an hour, preferably more, because you don't want it to be like melty. That's one thing about a lot of keto bars or ketogenic bars is they're made from coconut oil or fats and they melt easily. So make sure that you serve it cold. And yeah, we'll add like the caloric information and stuff maybe. I don't know, maybe not.
Maybe you don't want to know because it's keto.
Right, just know that it's fatty. And
but it's good for the noggin.
It'll make your brain feel good.
All right, guys.
So thanks for joining us. All right, I'll see you later.